So 3, 5, and 3, 6 is going to be a lot of what we call matrices. Matrices are just a way to represent systems in a numerical format, and then you're able to solve them on the calculator. Number 1 and 2 are like adding and subtracting matrices, and you can do those by hand. This kind of thing shows up on the ACT, so that's why we teach it. But it's very simple. When you're adding and subtracting, they have to be the same dimensions. And so dimensions on a matrix, we read it as the number of rows times the number of columns. So rows by columns. And you can remember that by RC Cola. It's kind of like a little trick, because sometimes I like to think about doing columns first and then rows. So for instance, number 1, the dimensions of number 1 would be a 1 by 3 matrix and a 1 by 3 matrix. So number of rows, I have 1 row and I have 3 columns. So since they're the same dimensions, I can add them. And so you're just taking the corresponding numbers. So the first number goes with the first number on the second one. So my answer would be 2, 4, and -8. I'm just adding them. So each position in the matrix goes with the position in the other matrix. So what would the dimensions of number 2 be? A 2 by 3. Both of them are the same dimensions, so then they will have a solution. If they had different dimensions, then you would have to say that there's no solution. It doesn't work. They will not add or subtract if they don't have the same dimensions. So then I'm going to subtract them, so I get -5, 0, -5, 2, 4, -11.
Why do you subtract the 2 and 2 and not add them?
Because there's a minus sign in between.
Oh my bad.
Number 3, I'm gonna change this because I was looking at the ACT questions yesterday, and there's one called there's like a scalar multiplication. So I'm gonna have you guys cross this out right here, and I'm gonna put a 2 in front of it. So let's say you had a question like this. You're going to distribute the 2 to all 4 numbers. So it would be 4, -2, -2, and 8. And then I'm going to omit number 4 because we don't really do that on the ACT. So going to skip that. So when you're solving a system, you're essentially setting up a matrix, and then we're going to learn how to solve it. So you're going to take the number of terms. So there is an x and a y, and then you have a solution, x, y, and solution. So you're going to end up having 3 columns and 2 rows. So you're going to set up a 2 by 3 matrix where you are just writing the coefficients in order. So it's going to be x is the first column, y is the second column, and then your number or your answer on the other side of the equal sign is going to be your last column. Now let's say that a number 5, so I'm going to put my coefficients, which is just the number in front. So I have a 2, a -3, and a 19. If there's no number in front, I assume it's a 1, a 4, and a -7. Let's say that for number 5, let's say that if it were written -3y plus 2x equals 19. I would not put -3 and then -2. I would need to switch these to make sure that it goes x, y number. And so sometimes you have to manipulate your equations to be in the correct order. Like maybe they're not written in the same order. You must put x and then y and then number. Or once we get to 3 variables, x, y, z number. So make sure that you write a note about that, because sometimes there will be examples where they're switched up. And so I'm going to go to my calculator. Okay, so on the home page, you're going to go to the add the calculator or the calculator part. You're going to go to menu. Then you're going to scroll down to matrix and vector. And then I want you to choose option number 5, so the reduced row echelon form, RREF. So you're going to choose that first. Then I'm going to go back to menu, scroll down to matrix and vector, and then we're going to create one. Create a matrix. So menu 5, 1, 1. I'm going to change the number of rows to be 2 rows. And then I'm going to change the number of columns to be 3. So a 2 by 3. Okay. Then we're going to type in our matrix. So we have 2, -3. And I think that it just goes to the, you don't have to hit the right button. I think that it just goes to the next one for you. 19. And then 1. 4, -7. Then I'm going to hit enter. And so my solution is going to be the 5, -3. So if I were to write it as an ordered pair, it would be 5, -3. Or you could say x equals 5, y equals -3. So now we're going to have, what dimensions will I have for my next matrix? A 3 by 4. And so I'm going to make my matrix. What was the solution to the last one? It was 5, -3. So your answer should be like this for number 5. Setting up number 6, I'm going to have 4, 2, 3, 1, 2, -3, 5, -14, 6, -1, 4, -1. Don't forget the negative signs. Sometimes I see people put them as positives. And so make sure that you're attaching the negative to whatever coefficient is in front of that. So type that in your calculator and then tell me what solution you get. Okay, so what'd you get for number 6? 2, 1, -3. Then for number 7, it's going to be a 3 by 4 as well. It could be. And I know on the homework there are some decimals, so don't be alarmed if you get a decimal. Not everything is going to be nice and neat. Has anyone done number 7 yet? Wants to verify? So you get 53, 3, -37. Number 8, remember it's the steps of a word problem. We're going to define our variables, set up the system, and then we'll answer it. But now we don't have to do it algebraically. We can do it with the matrices. Yes?
Sorry to go back a little bit, but on one of those, is there ever going to be a time when like there just isn't like a Z or like what is it?
Yes. So we'll see one of these on the, I think on the word problems, but I'll show you what to do. You're going to end up putting a 0 there if you don't have one. That was a good question. So number 8, it says a pilot has 200 hours of flight time in a single engine plane and twin engine planes. Renting a single engine costs $60. Renting a twin costs $240. The pilot has spent $21,000. How many hours of each type of plane has he flown? So I need to define my variables. I only have 2 of them. So let's call X single engine hours. And then let's call Y, I guess, twin engine hours. So now I have 2 variables, so I need 2 equations. The first one can be the total cost. So what would an equation be to represent the cost? Yeah, so if I'm doing the cost, it costs $60 for single and $240 for twin. And I'm spending how much money? $21,000. Then the second one can be the number of hours that I fly. So how many hours is the pilot flying? 200. So I can say that X plus Y equals 200. So to set up a matrix, first of all, what would my dimensions be? A 2 by 3, because I have 2 rows and 3 columns. So 60, 240, 21,000, 1, 1, 200. What do I get for my answer? 150 and then 50. So in the context of this problem, 150 single hours and then 50 twin hours. So these would be the steps that you go through. You define your variables, that's step number 1. You set up your system. Step number 2, create a matrix. Answer the problem in the context of whatever the question is talking about. Number 9 says at a pizza shop, 2 small pizzas, a liter of soda, and a salad cost $14. 1 pizza, a liter of soda, and 3 salads cost $15. And 3 small pizzas and a liter of soda cost $16. So what is the cost of 1 pizza, 1 liter of soda, and 1 salad? So how many variables am I dealing with now? 3. So I'm going to say X, Y, and Z. So let's say, am I counting the number or am I counting the cost? The cost. I want to find out what the cost is. So we could say cost of pizza is X. Y is cost of soda. And then Z can be cost of salad. Then I'm going to set up my system. So it gives me 3 different scenarios. So it says that 2 small pizzas, so 2X, plus 1 liter of soda, so plus Y, and 1 salad, so plus Z, equals $14. Since I have 3 variables, that means I need 3 equations. So you have to look for 3 in your word problem. Then it says 1 pizza, so 1X, and 1 liter of soda, 1Y, and 3 salads cost $15. Then it says 3 small pizzas, 3X, and 1 liter of soda, so plus Y equals 16. And you notice that there is no Z there. However, when you make your matrix, you can't just leave it blank. So you must put plus 0Z. Like you need a 0 there to be a place filler. That means that there is nothing there, but you must put a 0. So when you're making your system, you don't necessarily need this, but when you're doing your matrix, you must put a 0 there. Otherwise, it's not going to give you an answer. It'll say error. So what is the dimension of my matrix? It's going to be a what? A 3 by 4, where I have 2, 1, 1, 14, 1, 1, 3, 15, and 3, 1, 0, 16. Remember that it always goes X, Y, Z number. So even if it said like 1 soda and 3 pizzas, I would still need to write it as X and then Y. And you type that into your calculator. 513. So it costs $5 for pizza. Costs $1 for soda, and it costs $3 for salad. Okay, so did we get the answer? What's the 3 numbers that you get for your answer? 3, 2, 4. So it is $3 for M&Ms. It's $2 for gummy bears. And then it is $4 for peanuts.